let's take a quick look at these 10 commandments and see how good you are with them. 1. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. 2. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. 3. Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. 4. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 5. Honor thy father and mother. 6. Thou shalt not kill. 7. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 8. Thou shalt not steal. 9. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And 10. Thou shalt not covet. How many of you have lived your life worthy of a Hebrew? Think about that. Some of these terminologies is different. For example, thou shalt not covet means thou should not want things that isn't theirs. Thou shalt not commit adultery is to have the needs wanting another person's wife or husband that's not theirs. Thou shalt not bear false witness means thou shalt not lie about a neighbor or a friend. So you kind of get the idea here. This is the foundation of the Hebrew beliefs. It was also believed that if any person were to break any of these laws, he would not get into heaven. This story has become so well known that even Hollywood couldn't help but create a movie of it, of course. So several years ago, they created the animated movie, The Prince of Egypt, which talks about this Jewish story, this Hebrew story. And even before the animated movie, there was a full-motion version of the Exodus from Egypt called The 10 Commandments, with a well-known actor, Charlton Heston, playing Moses. So, after 40 years of wandering, eventually the kingdom of Israel would be found. The land known as Canaan was harsh with desert, rocky wilderness, and the hot valley of the Jordan River. This supposedly was the land promised to the Hebrews by God. Of the 12 tribes of the Hebrews, only one tribe of Judea was left. They were soon become known as the Jews, and their religion of Judaism. So there were 12 groups of Jews, or 12 families. Eventually, after the 40 years, a lot of fighting would go on, a lot of battles between them, and a lot of death, unfortunately. But in the end, it was the tribe of Judea that would remain. This tribe would unite under one kingdom known as Israel. Flash forward to the future. Israel today is an official country and is officially recognized throughout the world as a legitimate independent country. However, that did not happen until 1948. One of the more powerful Hebrew kings was Solomon, who successfully built a trading empire. Additionally, he glorified the city of Jerusalem by building an important temple in Jerusalem called Solomon's Temple. Kind of full of himself if he named it after himself, in my opinion. As time passed, the Hebrews had issues between each other and eventually would divide into two parts. The parts of Israel in the north and the area known as Judea in the south. Here we kind of see in red what present-day Israel looks like next to the Mediterranean Sea. Between the 6th and the 10th century BCE, we see the divided Israel. We have Israel to the north, and we have Judea to the south. Based upon the Bible's description, Solomon's temple would have looked something like this. It was believed to have been built around 832 BCE and is to have stood for over 400 years until its destruction in 422 BCE. Originally dedicated to Yahweh, which is the Hebrew name for God, it is believed that it housed the Ark of the Covenant. Simply put, this ark was a specially designed portable box that contained the original 10 Commandments. Babylonian Captivity. Eventually, disaster struck, and both Israel and Judea were forced to pay tribute to the Assyrians. A tribute is peace money that's paid by a weaker power to a stronger power. This is done to avoid being attacked. As it happened, though, no matter how much tribute was paid, it was never going to be enough. Finally, in 725 BCE, the Assyrians invaded Samaria, which was the capital of Israel in the north. And by 722 BCE, the whole northern kingdom of Israel was under Assyrian control. The southern kingdom lasted about another 150 years before falling to the Babylonians. The Assyrians had been losing control from the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. So the Assyrians had control, Babylonians took over the Assyrians, and it was Nebuchadnezzar's rule when this happened. The temple that was built by Solomon would end up being destroyed by the Babylonians. However, in 549 BCE, the Persian king, Cyrus the Great, would allow the Hebrews, many of whom were exiled, to return to Jerusalem to rebuild Solomon's temple. What a nice guy. Throughout history, many others would dominate the region, including the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. Today, Jerusalem is still a very important city for the Jews, Christians, and Muslims, all because their religious history has occurred for their religions within that city. So the Jews have a right to that as far as God is concerned. This is the land of the Palestinians or the Muslims that live there. It's a very historic site for them. So they're all claiming control over this very important religious city for all of them. Today we see Jerusalem as a very busy modern life area built around an ancient wall and old ruins. It is still a place of strong religious history for both the Jews and the Muslims, who make up the region's population. Unfortunately, due to historical and political differences, these two groups have a lot of difficulties living in peace today. The result. The history of the Hebrews has been a long and arduous journey. Of the 5 major religions studied in this class, theirs would be the oldest and one of the most influential. Many of their practices and ideas would cross into many mainstream cultures today. And there you have it, the final lecture of Unit Level 2. I hope you'd enjoyed it and got some meaningful information out of it. Please let me know if you have any questions relating to this lecture or any others that you may have from the other lectures as well. Additionally, don't hesitate to review the lectures if you forgot something or simply need a review before the test. Looking ahead, we will take a further look east into the region of present-day India and the development of their societies. So with that, have a great day, and remember to stay awesome. See you later.